All right, as most of you already know, Tesla last night, or maybe early this morning, released the full self-driving beta request button. And people are super excited all over Twitter, all over my Discord channel. People are talking about it and it's making a really, really big splash. But as I was tweeting back and forth with a few people this morning, it became more and more apparent that this button also has an ulterior motive, and Tesla is going to crush another industry entirely. For those of you interested in investing, check out WeBull, an amazing platform for buying and selling stocks, and now cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin, Dogecoin, and others. Open an account and get a free stock valued at up to $200, and fund your account and get another free stock valued at up to $1,600. Check out the link in the description and help the channel at the same time. Hey y'all, it's Dr. Know-It-All. So if you don't know about the beta request feature, you can check out my video here. It's just a real short thing. It's just an instruction how to get it. I have to say that after driving for a while, number one, I'm super happy. Got 100% so far on my score, but I'm just completely blown away by how transparent Tesla is. They've got an entire web page devoted to telling you exactly how they're grading you, down to a score where it actually says, you know, the amount of time, if you have this percentage of time driving too close behind somebody else, it's multiplied by this amount, and then it's multiplied by a factor number and all of these other things. And eventually it gives you a score out of 100. So they basically tell you all this, and I'll put up a graphic of this on the screen, of course, while I'm talking about this. But they're incredibly transparent about this. It is good to know, at Green the Only, of course, had looked at indications that, you know, Tesla is looking at whether you're looking down when you're driving. And also if you accelerate too rapidly, there's a score for that also internally, but they're not using that for the insurance calculation scores, which is nice. So if you're doing straight line acceleration, it's not going to ding you for that as long as you're not, you know, driving dangerously otherwise. But the main things that they are scoring you on, number one, of course, if you have to have your autopilot disengaged permanently for the trip, that it's basically an up or down score each day. If you have it disabled, that is a pretty big ding on your score. It also determines how much time you spend driving within 1 second behind somebody else if you're going over 50 miles an hour, or I guess about 80 kilometers an hour. So that's interesting because it doesn't do it in city traffic when you're driving slow, but if you're driving more rapidly on the highway or something, it will ding you for that. It does not ding you if you're driving on autopilot, right? So if you've got that engaged, whatever distance it is behind, it doesn't ding you for that. It also dings you for very, very rapid braking, which is, you know, obviously you don't ever want to have that happen. If you're rapidly braking, like it says over 0.4 Gs, I think. So that's a little difficult to tell, but it's like certain number of miles per hour, I think 6.5 miles an hour or so per second that you're slowing down. So basically you just don't want to ever have to slam on the brakes. It also judges you for turning too aggressively. So if you do something like accelerate quickly and then make a hard turn, it will also ding you for that. So it will give you a negative score for that as well. So it's really cool. It gives you feedback right away. I'll throw up a graphic. My first trip that I took gave me 100%, so I'm very happy about that. But basically, you can pretty much figure out, I guess if you want to say game the system, like quote unquote game it, you're not really gaming it because you're driving safer, but basically you know exactly what it is that's going to cause problems for you. So you just have to pay attention. I basically try to put it on autopilot as much as possible, given the different types of driving that I'm doing. So it won't give you any negative scores while you're on autopilot, so that's a good thing as well. And then the really cool feature that I just found recently was if you go into this beta feedback section, you actually can go into a simulator and you can dial up and down numbers. So you can say, like, if I follow within 1 second, 6% of the time during the day, how much does it cost me, right? If I otherwise drive perfectly or something. So it will actually tell you, it will move the little indicator up and down. And that's a really, really cool thing that you can use a simulator to figure out exactly what kinds of activities cost you the most, I guess, you know, as you're driving. And of course, if you haven't seen that video yet, I've done a video all about making this kind of a real-time indicator for the entire world, not just for people in the United States at this point, but why not just release this to the globe and have a little, like, you know, indicator, basically what they've already got, the little circle that goes from 0 to 100%, to let everybody be able to judge in more or less real time how they're driving and how they can improve their driving. This will really help out the world and make people better drivers. But anyway, what is the consequence of all of this? The big thing you have to check off, as I said in my video this this morning is you have to check off that you have VIN-associated data being transmitted to Tesla, which means that they now, instead of anonymizing the data and just sort of knowing geographically that certain things are going on, they know on a per car basis exactly how fast you're driving, how fast you're accelerating, how close you're tailing other people, whether you're making aggressive turns, whether you're braking, whether you have your autopilot forcibly disengaged ever, and on and on and on. And what this is a huge data trove. So in addition to the beta software that people are desperately trying to get, and of course everyone's signing up, and we've been sort of throwing numbers around, but I wouldn't be at all surprised if it was 1 to 200,000 people within the next 24 hours or so sign up for this full self-driving beta. So that means that Tesla now is going to have this insurance calculator that is going to be running on a couple of 100,000 vehicles, and all, of course, the cars that have already decided to join in California, and all the cars that will join in Texas soon for their insurance program. And then Elon Musk said that New York is going to be next year, and then hopefully it will roll out to the country, wider over time. But then if they also release this to the globe and let people use this as an interactive thing, they're going to have potentially millions of cars giving them exact data about how they're driving. And then they'll be able to associate that with risk of accidents or bad things happening, right? And what is all this data good for, aside from training full self-driving beta and making sure we're good testers if we're testing? Well, insurance, right? Insurance is an entirely statistical science, or whatever you want to call it. They use actuarial tables, which are now spreadsheets online, of course. But basically what they do is they determine, given your demographics and given your driving history, etc., how much of a chance it is that you are going to be in an accident. All they really care about is that. They don't care about tickets so much, although they will definitely ding you if you get a ticket, of course, right? Because that increases your risk of getting in an accident. But what they care about is damage to your car from an accident, damage to another person's car from an accident, and worst of all, liability concerns, right? If you injure somebody in an accident, that's a really big thing, right? They could be paying millions of dollars. So they don't want to do that, or at least they want to keep it to an absolute minimum. So they've got all of these statistical tables that tell them what your risk is given who you are. But these statistics are necessarily very generalized, right? They use your age, they use your sex, they use your marital status, and they do use some of your driving history because, of course, if you haven't gotten in an accident for years, that's more likely you're not going to get in one in the future either. So they do use a little bit of that, but these are super generalized sort of statistics and demographics that they're utilizing. Tesla, on the other hand, is going to have hundreds of thousands to millions of specific data points. And they know, because when we sign up for the app and buy the car, of course, they know everything about us. They know all of our statistics. So they're going to be able to associate these cars and this type of behavior with an exact amount of risk that they are taking. So essentially what they're going to be able to do is you've got, insurance company X has a sort of general nebulous idea of who you as a driver are. And so they give you a rate of, let's say, $100 a month, just to throw out a number, right? Tesla may be able to look at you as a specific person, or will be able to look at you as a much more specific person. And they're going to be able to say, we'll give this to you for $55 a month or something, right? Who can compete with that? If Tesla says we can do it for about half the price, no insurance company using their standardized actuarial tables is going to be able to compete with that price. And of course, the benefit of getting all of this data that Tesla is collecting rapidly is that they will have incredibly precise statistics based on very, very precise demographics and very, very precise driving information. So that driving information, not just demographic information, but they know if you make an aggressive turn, or if you follow within 1 second of people for more than 2% of the driving time in the day or something like that, they know all of this stuff will lead to a higher likelihood of an accident. And so they can then charge you more for that very specifically, while other people who do not have those driving behaviors get charged less. And of course, if you drive poorly for a week or something, they can jack your rates up. So they can have a kind of a little, a rate calculation that's going up and down and up and down. And again, with this sort of feedback, they'll also make people safer drivers. So even if they're charging half of what other insurance companies are charging, they'll actually make more money because they know better whether you're likely to get into an accident or not. So this is huge. This is a massive disruption that's happening, and Tesla is doing it right under everybody's nose. And let's say they're excusing it as the beta software button request form. And I think that's completely reasonable that that's what they're doing, but there is an ulterior motive going on here, and they are going to win at insurance massively after having this kind of data and refining the calculations. And it even says on the support page that they're going to keep refining this with more data. So they're telling us right out there that they're working on an insurance calculation thing and that they have a data lead and access to data that no other insurance company does. So they can just tell us, they can say, this is how we're doing it, but nobody else has access to this information, so they can't even follow us along. So Tesla in the next year or two is going to destroy everybody else in insurance, and it's another industry that's going to get disrupted by Tesla. All right, I hope you found this episode fun and enjoyable. I certainly was like, wow, this is really cool stuff to think about. Anyway, if you did, definitely like it so other people can find it, and of course consider subscribing for more of this stuff. As always, a huge shout out to my patrons on Patreon. It's been an awful lot of fun talking to you in the last 24 hours, waiting for the button, getting the button, having everybody posting their scores so that we're seeing like who's doing the best in terms of driving. So it's been a blast. Anyway, if you're interested in joining, definitely check out the link in the description. And if you're interested in some awesome merch, check out the link in the description. We've got the Tesla Bot t-shirt, which is super popular these days. Don't mess with Tesla. Lots of other t-shirts, tumblers, mugs, etc. So check out the link in the description and help the channel out. And for those of you interested in investing, check out WeBull, an amazing platform for buying and selling stocks and now cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin, Dogecoin, and others. Open an account and get a free stock valued at up to $200, and fund your account and get another free stock valued at up to $1,600. Check out the link in the description and help the channel at the same time. Thank you. And finally, don't forget we are both Tesla and Amazon affiliates. Yes, Tesla affiliates. You can still get referral codes for solar roofs and battery walls, so definitely check that out. And of course, anything you shop for on Amazon after clicking the link in the description helps out the channel. And as always, feel free to ask me questions in the comments or at my email address, which is drknowitallknows@gmail.com. Till next time, bye-bye.